Happy Sukkot, everyone. Tonight starts the festival of Sukkot, where we sit and eat in the sukkah, and we also during Sukkot make the blessing on the lulav and esrog. But also Sukkot is known as Man Simchaseinu, the festival of rejoicing and being happy. That's one of the greatest challenges we have in life, being happy. How can we find happiness and how can we find content? So Ethics of Our Father says, Eizo Ashir Hasamech Bechalkai. Who is happy? The one that is satisfied. Who's wealthy? The one who's satisfied with what he has and appreciates what he has. That's one of the reasons the rabbis say why the holiday of Sukkot comes right after Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. You see, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we were all in the synagogue. If you weren't in the synagogue, still you're praying for God and asking for different things. And we all have a list of things that we want from God. That comes right after Sukkot. And we don't panic, because the Sukkah reminds us of the huts of the Jewish people, the clouds of glory that protected the Jewish people in the desert. So we remember that God watches and protects over us. But the greatest level to accomplish happiness is when we recognize the blessings that we have in our life. You know, one of the reasons that so much studies being done now, why today's days actually people feel more anxious and more depressed and worried, is because they're going on social media and watching what everyone else has and says, well, I don't have this and I don't have that. There was a great, I forgot the guy's name, who does marketing. And he says, our goal is to make sure all men and women are miserable with what they have, that they want something else. And if you do marketing that way, then you get them to buy what you want. If you want to celebrate Sukkot, as Man Simchaseinu, you're sitting in the sukkah and you have your family with you. You're sitting in the sukkah and you remind you that God is watching and protecting over us. Sitting in the sukkah, you also remember all the blessings that we have in our life. And that will bring instant joy and celebration. The second thing is, of course, we should pray to God and ask for things that we need. It's not just to be satisfied with what we have, but we also have to ask God to give us the insight and the strength that when the blessings we get from God, to know how to use the blessings. Because as we all know, money, houses, cars, vacations is not ultimately going to bring us happiness. The greatest happiness you get is when you feel what you have in your life and you use it for the right purposes, making a difference in other people's lives. And it's important to always remember and be thankful from where we get our blessings from. You know, there was once this individual who was very, very wealthy. And one day he had an offer to buy the top floor in one of the top buildings in Tel Aviv. In the last minute, his friend talked him out of it and said, you know, if you invest in real estate in Hungary, you could buy 10 buildings for the price you're going to pay to buy the floor on the 50th floor in this building in Tel Aviv. So he went and he did it. And he invested all his money in those buildings in Hungary. And as you know how life is, he lost everything. Everything was gone, to the point that he was in great debt, that he owed even the IRS in Israel 17,000 shekel. None of his friends returned his calls anymore. None of the people that he was arrogant to were accepted him and wanted to respond to him and help him. Finally, he had one friend. One friend returned his call and said, you know what? I am going to help you. He says, I'm going to help you and give you what you need. Come to my office. And you know what? You know who his office was? His office was in that building in Tel Aviv. On the floor that he was going to buy, that was his office. So he goes up to that office and he tells the guy, listen, I need 17,000 shekel to help me pay off the taxes in Israel. Gives him the money. And he says, no problem, I'll give it to you. And he felt a little better. As he's walking down the floor, he says, you know what, let me go see the rooftop. Goes up the stairs, goes to the roof, and looks around. He says, wow, this is a beautiful view. He tries to go back down and he notices the door is locked. So he doesn't know what to do. He starts calling, screaming people. No one hears him. He's like 50 floors up. So he doesn't know what to do. It's starting to get dark. He says, you know what, let me throw a $100 bill down, because now you had 17,000 shekel. Let me throw a $100 bill and then someone will look up. He sends the $100 bill down. No one looks up. He sends few more dollars, nobody's looking up. Now it's about to get dark. He has no other choice because he's going to be stuck on the roof all night, and that's going to be very dangerous. So he takes all the money and he throws it down, and he watches the way the money waves, and he's standing there with his shirt making noise. Hopefully someone will see him. Everyone is grabbing the money and just taking it. Nobody's looking up. He can't get anyone's attention. He's about to give up, and he notices a bag on the floor. He opens the bag, and there's pebbles. So he takes the rocks and he starts throwing it down. The moment the rocks hit the person, they start looking up where it's coming from. They see this crazy person on the roof waving with his hands. They call the police. The police come running right away. They burst open the door. They put him in cuffs right away. They take him down to the precinct. And he had a lot of explaining to do. And he explained to them what happened to him. He had no other way of getting their attention. And then this individual shares, he had an epiphany that day. He realized, it's amazing. As I was throwing down the bills, the $100 bills, nobody looked up. Everyone was just grabbing the money and moving on. As soon as something hit the person and it hit them in the head, that's the first moment they looked up. And he said, it's amazing. In my life, I was very successful. I always thought it's all about me, me, me. I never appreciated anything that came my way. But then one day, the rock hit my head. And then I looked up to God and said, God, how could you do that to me? How did you mess me up this way? So my dear friends, I think the message of the sukkah and the roof of the sukkah for all of us is, we shouldn't wait to look up to God. God, how did you do this to me? God, how did you cause the pandemic? God, why did you make me lose my job? But we should look up on the holiday of sukkah and say, God, thank you for giving me the blessings that I have in my life right now. And God, thank you for trusting in me and giving me those precious money, family, kids, and whatever it is that you trust me that I could use it the best and the utmost. This is the greatest way that we can enjoy this holiday of Sukkot, Zman Simchasenu. As I mentioned in my other video, please take advantage. We're going to have tables and chairs. You can come here during the week with your family and enjoy a Sukkot dinner. You can make a blessing on the Lulav and Esrog. And let's have a joyous holiday where all the blessings that each one of us need can be fulfilled, and we pray to God that this pandemic should end very soon. Once again, we could have a packed sukkah where the whole community comes together to celebrate and to be thankful for everything that we have. Happy Sukkot and a joyous Sukkot.